Okay, so it's been a minute since I've done a recording. Sorry about the background noise. It's pretty warm here, so I got the AC running. But yeah, I thought I'd do a quick video on not so much a reverb shootout, but more a reverb comparison. But I thought it'd be fun to have you guys try and guess which reverb is which. So I have 5 reverbs, and I'm going to go through those now before I play the tracks. And I'll tell you what the settings are for each one. And these are the 5 that I use the most, I would say. Or some of them actually I don't use as much. I was just curious how they stacked up to the other reverbs. But before I show you the reverbs, I just want to talk about like why I chose these instruments. It may seem kind of random to people, but well, we have staccato strings, so that's always good for testing reverbs. And I'm using the CSS because it's got like a not as much room sound as the Spitfire stuff. So that's the cinematic studio strings. I also use the legato for that library as well. I use the Cineperk toms because they're once again kind of less. There is a nice room there, but it's a little less than any of the Spitfire stuff. So I thought it'd be good. Because when you use reverb, you want to try to start with a room and then use the reverb to add kind of a nice tail. So you want a nice natural room. Then I use piano because I find anything with like an attack, a percussive type thing, or exposes the reverb. I mean, any reverb is going to sound pretty good with like a legato, horn, or strings. But I think the true test is something percussive, because you're getting those reflections, the early reflections and things like that. And that brings up an interesting point. Like, I didn't tailor these things. I'm not going to change the settings of the reverb that much if I'm using a different instrument. So we kind of stuck with the same settings. But obviously when you're using reverbs, you're going to do like a low pass, get rid of those highs if it's kind of, especially for percussive things. But I kind of just left it like good all around reverb, and I'll show you the settings in a minute. The next instrument I use is a xylophone, which seems weird to people, but actually this is a great test for your reverb. Pull up the xylophone, because really a lot of reverbs don't react well with the sound of this for some reason. Same with like vibraphone. Like I said, any sort of percussive, but this melodic percussion specifically is tricky to get the reverb right with. So, and then finally I have a solo horn here, so I got some brass. So we got strings, brass, some percussion, and some melodic percussion, and piano, which I guess technically is a percussion instrument. So here are the 5 reverbs that I'm using, and it's not in the order you're going to hear them in, so don't so when you try to guess, it's going to be a different order. But anyway, Valhalla Room, and the setting I use for this is large chamber. The preset actually is large hall, and I didn't really mess with a lot of this, so this is pretty much how it, the standard. I would probably mess with the pre-delay a little bit, like put it up to 20 or 30. But for now, we're going to leave it at the default setting. So this is pretty standard. This is actually a great reverb for the money. I mean, it's a no-brainer. $50 or whatever. Yeah, so definitely grab that. Now the next one, which isn't as popular, but I think it's really good, is the Phoenix Reverb. And by the way, these are both algorithmic reverbs, so it doesn't use IRs or impulse responses, so it's a little less CPU intensive. So usually if I'm just adding a tail, I'm gonna grab a algorithmic reverb, because once you start to have a lot of instances, it's tough on the CPU if you're using like a like Space Designer or Altiverb or something. So as far as the settings for the Phoenix Reverb, I'm using the medium hall preset, and here's the curve for that. This is it's a reverb tail right here. So this has some nice settings here. The pre-delay is on 20 milliseconds. Reverb time, 2.26 seconds. So that's very close to what the Valhalla room was. I mean, we're between 2 and 3 seconds for these tails here. Reverb attack, I didn't really mess with this. The attack of the envelope attack, the shape of the envelope. So, and then these are the earlier reflections. So, early attack, early time. But I don't usually mess with these too much. Because I find that the settings, the default settings are pretty good. Now, the good old Reverb. If you know, I've used wave stuff for a long time. So, and actually, this reverb, believe it or not, is used a lot in like metal recordings for drums. And it's actually, I think it's going to surprise a lot of people when they find out which one this is. Because depending on how you treat the, I mean, what did I use here? I used the Hull one, but I think I rolled off the highs here on the, for the EQ, the reverb EQ. And really, when you're talking about reverb, the most important thing, I think, is EQing your reverb. So if you take away anything from this video, hopefully it's that. Very important to EQ your reverbs. Not only using the ones built into it, but just pull up an EQ and use that. So yeah, pre-delay at 20, time once again 2.4 seconds, so we're sticking in the same kind of ballpark, and that's what I usually like to do for like a haul, between, like I said, 2 and 3 seconds. Actually, usually between 2.5 and 3. Anyway, so the next one, this is what I'm really liking lately, because it's just so versatile. It sounds great on everything. Is the FabFilter Pro Reverb. So I highly recommend this one. I'm using the Concert Hall, the Amsterdam Classic. There's also a modern one. Character. This has character and brightness. These are great for like just getting a quick sort of character of your sound rather than tweaking all the EQs here. But you can see that the highs are kind of rolled off here. What's the pre-delay? I set this to 30, and it's 2.75 seconds is the space, and I think that's the default pretty much. So yeah, I'm liking this one a lot. Now the Space Designer, I've actually got good results with this because I've used the Bricasti impulse response, and it's the Boston Hall, the quad. Now you notice this is a lot longer. This tail is 3.46, so it's a little out of what we've been doing, but and you can actually lower that, but I'm just keeping it the way it is. Yes, I thought it'd be fun to throw that in, because that's the, if you use Logic, that's the default one, and I'm sure if I use Cubase, I use Cubase a little bit, so I'm not sure if they have an impulse response reverb, but anyway. So I wanted to throw an IR in there too, IR reverb. So, but once again, this is a little more CPU intensive, so I would usually go for one of these algorithmic reverbs first. So we're going to go through each instrument first, and I'm going to go through all the reverbs for that. So we're just going to go in order here. Like I said, it's not the order that I showed you, so. But I encourage you to try to guess which one is which, especially if you're familiar with the reverbs. So write them down, and then at the end I'm going to reveal which one is which. I'm not going to make you wait for a week or whatever, because I hate when people do that. So we need the results right away, right? So I won't keep you guys in too much suspense. So yeah, let's start with the I'm going to play it dry first, so you can hear just the room of the cinematic studio strings. So here are the staccatos, just violin staccatos. So I'll play you the part here without any reverb, and then we're going to go through each one. So it's a very tight kind of room. It has a nice room sound, but it's pretty tight. So let's go through the reverbs now. So the first one. Okay, number 2. So especially listen to that last thing there, so you hear the tail. Okay, number 3. Okay, 4. Okay, and finally number 5. Okay. So yeah, write down what you think each one was, or keep it in mind. Let's go to the legato here. So well, let's hear it without the reverb first. Yeah, so I don't know why I played Over the Rainbow, but I thought it'd be a good but anyway, so that sounds nice. I like the CSS room as it is, but so let's hear this with the reverb 1 here. Okay, number 2. Yeah, like I said, listen to that last note there. Okay, number 4. And finally, the last reverb here. Okay. So see, like, you're not going to hear much difference. I mean, those are all usable, I think, for strings, staccato, and legato. But now, when we go to the toms here, this is where it's gonna really kind of expose the reverb because of the nature of that attack, a strong attack. Especially, like I said, the early reflections are gonna come through. So we're gonna go to the toms here. So let's hear it without, this is completely dry. So check this out. Well, I shouldn't say completely dry, it's got the room, but anyway, but pretty tight room kind of. Okay, so check this out. So here's the first one now. So that's not bad. So number 2. Number 3. let's do number 4. Okay, here we go. Finally, the last one. Okay, let's go on the piano here. Let's hear it dry first, or, you know, with the room. So I put that little thing at the end just so you can hear the tail when we get to that. So here we go, reverb 1. Number 2. Okay. Number 3. And number 4. And finally 5. Okay. Now let's go to the xylophone. This is kind of separates the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, because just the nature of the instrument. You're going to hear it because of a really strong attack. The piano has a strong attack too, but I was doing longer notes and it's a little smoother in some ways, less bright. So the xylophone is going to be, I think it's really interesting. So let's hear it just with just like a broom sound. Okay, so pretty tight like that. So here we go, reverb 1. Okay, 2. Three. 4. And 5. Okay, so I think that's really kind of revealing. But like I said, you're gonna obviously tweak it when you apply, you know, use different instruments in your arrangement. But this is just to get an overall sense of the algorithms that each reverb is using. Or in the case of the impulse response one. But I mean algorithm in terms of like programming and just sound of the reverb. So anyway, let's hear the solo horn. So here's just dry here with the, or rather with the room sound. Okay, reverb 1. Left that a little. Okay, reverb 2. That was 3. Reverb 4. And finally 5. Okay, so let's do the reveal now. And then we'll talk about it. So what was reverb 1 here? This is the Fab filter, which to me is a great all-around reverb, because listen to it on the horn here. And then on the xylophone, and then on the toms, oops, sorry, on the toms. So, like I said, a good all-around reverb. Yeah, now let's see what's number 2 here. Valhalla Room. Okay, so we had some issues, I think. I mean, this is you might have a different opinion, but with that pre-delay sound. Let me just show you that. We'll go over that again. So for percussion instruments, it's a little problematic, but it sounds great on the violin. Right? So I mean, these you have some. So like I said, it's great for certain things. And I think that's the point of this video, is sort of the application of these reverbs. But it's nice to know your reverb, know its limitations, and know what its strengths are, I think. But yeah, if you listen to that on the xylophone, we'll listen to the Valhalla. Yeah, like that. Yeah, it's a little synthetic sounding. For me. It's just my opinion, but. Okay, so what's the third reverb here? This is the Reverb. Now, it performed pretty well, I think, on longer. Right, so it's pretty nice on that. But let's check it out on the xylophone again. It's pretty good, I think. For me, it's probably a better all-around reverb than the Valhalla, maybe. personally, that's my opinion, but you know, and it's funny, I sort of don't use this that often because I think, oh, the waves, it's so old, like, but now I'm kind of rethinking that because of this shootout. So this shootout, this comparison was sort of not just for you guys, but for me to sort of go through again, because sometimes you get, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get like you get in sort of a, not a rut, but like, you know, you default to certain things each time, like, oh, I'll use this reverb, and you maybe, it's good maybe every couple of months to go through everything and reevaluate things. So anyway, so yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the waves one, actually, you know. So I think that was the most surprising one in this whole shootout, because I just kind of threw it in there, oh, let's see how it stacks up, but and it actually performed pretty well, I thought. Okay, so what's the fourth one? Phoenix Verb, which I use this one a lot. I like it, actually. It's very smooth and transparent. So let's listen to it on the strings. The legato violins, check it out. It's a great reverb because I feel like it doesn't draw attention to itself that much. It's just sort of, like I said, it's kind of transparent in many ways. Well, let's see how it performed on the xylophone. It's pretty good, actually, right? So once again, all around great performer, I think. Now, last one here. What is it? Space Designer. So, let's listen to it on the horn, which I think it did pretty well. Let's see how it fared on the dreaded xylophone. Oh man. Not great, a little. Not bad, it's not horrible, but didn't perform as well, I don't think, as some of the others. In fact, let's hear it on the toms for a second. It's not bad. But for me, like, if I were to do these toms, that fab filter has a nice, that rolled off highs there. But it's more than that. There's something going on with that that's really, I like that with percussion. And actually, when I use the fab filter for percussion, I go for like a smaller, this medium drum room I really like, or percussion studio. It's really nice. So this is a great all-around reverb. I mean, all the fab filter stuff is really incredible. Anyway, so. But I'm not saying I favor that one over the others. Like, it depends on the application, you know. And I think that's sort of what we learned today is what your application is. So it's not so much what's better than the others, but definitely you could see how some are more versatile than others. Some have certain strengths and certain weaknesses. So let me know what you guys thought about that. What reverbs did you guys like? Love to know your order of what you preferred if you were to just have one reverb, even though that's not the point of this. But yeah, love to hear what you guys thought of that. How each performed with the different instruments. So yeah, make sure you put that in the comments. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to you guys. because it's for me too, I think, like I said, to evaluate what you have now and then, to make sure you still like what you're defaulting to, because like I said, we get in this sort of pattern where we're pulling up the same things, doing the same EQ moves. So never do anything by default, I think, is the message, because everything's different, and you can kind of get into a rut with that. Anyway, just wanted to do that quick reverb comparison, which I guess turned into kind of a longer video. But all right, well, leave some comments down there. If you haven't, please subscribe. Love to have you in the community, and let me know what you'd like to see. I'm totally into giving you guys what you want. So yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.